Hello, hello, and welcome back, my friends, to another episode of The Shadow Side with Safrianna. I am so delighted to be joined by my friend Eryn today, talking about leading while different, a very important topic at this point in time where we see so many people being targeted for being different while trying to do absolutely incredible things in the world. It's quite confusing.
Oh,
So,
yes.
Eryn, if you would
Oh
be
my
so
goodness.
kind as to introduce yourself, orient
Yes.
to our audience.
Indeed. No, it is wonderful to hang out and have amazing conversations with you. So yeah, Eryn Anitavi. I'm here in Seattle, Washington, and I love to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about and pushing into leadership and empowerment. And I know it's such a cliche word, but I still love it. Leaning into neurodiversity, leaning into our differences, leaning into these things where you have the superpower, but you don't get the superpower unless you have kryptonite. So you have to honor both. And if you don't honor both, then you burn out. So yeah, so I advise leaders, business support, and all of those things just to keep people going.
Mm, So important. Thank you for all that you do. And yes, just so much intersection with what we're here to do, like celebrating diversity and cheering on all kinds of people because we need one another to have a complete and unified community. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Yes. Like,
So
ah!
we're gonna get
Yeah.
into all of this. You can tell, like, we're very amped about this stuff because the world is on fire right now. That's the truth. And just in case you don't know me, I'm Safrianna Luna, the queer spirit guide. I'm a licensed trauma therapist, turned transformational mentor, and I do now help leaders try to heal their own inner stuff so that they don't project it onto their teams or accidentally do harm, right? Like to help people own their privilege, own their gifts, own their lack of privilege, figure out their intersections, and go do bigger, brighter, better things in the world to help everyone, not just some people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our topic today, Eryn, is really what it means to be a leader when we're different. And I'll call out some of my stuff. So I identify as neurodivergent. I have complex PTSD and ADHD. I am queer. I love the term spicy. I'm just spicy. I'm not your
That's a
average
good one.
vanilla
Yep.
cookie cutter, what we think of when we think of a member of society. And the fact that we even have that cookie cutter image of a member of society that pervades the dominant is an issue. But tell me a little bit about what got you so passionate about diversity in all of these different ways and why
Hmm.
you believe in it so much.
Oh man, how far back do we want to go? Um, I also neurodiverse, neurospicy, love those terms. For me, it was autism about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years, and that flipped my world upside down. First, I was very resistant. It was like, no, that's not a thing. That can't be. And started taking some of the assessments, and they're like, oh snap. Everything makes so much more sense now. um, and there is this one of these quirky little traits within some forms of autism, right? It's a spectrum, so it completely varies by person. But the social justice warrior, essentially, the equitable, humanity based mindset that I have always had and didn't really know why. It didn't really identify, oh, it's because of this or that or this other thing. It's just always, no, that's not fair. That's not okay. That's not equitable. No, that isn't, we shouldn't be doing that. And it was once I kind of settled into the like, oh, all right, this is neurologically, this is who I am. It just it became so natural and so easy to say, yeah, I am here to fight for neurodiversity. I am here to support leaders. And kind of where you tackle that, the therapy front, I'm on the business administration side, but we often do a lot of the therapy. So it's like, okay, you're telling us to do all of these things, but you've got some inner work to do.
Yeah.
You're gonna do that? They're like, no. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes, it's a problem.
Yeah, so just that whole leaning into the natural traits,
Yeah.
allowing myself to just like, oh, all right, that's who I am.
It's this ecosystem, right? And
Mhm.
that's why I don't understand what's happening in the world right. I mean, I do understand why it's happening in the world right now and its power and control systems and all of that. Okay. Okay. But
Yeah.
I, in a lived embodied experience, don't understand wanting to have that like cookie cutter one size fits all, because that doesn't it doesn't work when we look at an ecosystem. Like I just started gardening last year, right? And I've dabbled, but it was my first year having like a big garden and like trying to grow crop to actually feed myself in some capacity
Yeah.
rather than go, oh, cute, I have cucumbers, or, oh, I grew basil. And I discovered so much in being hands on about the diversity in just my yard, how many different kinds of bugs there were, and what they ate, and how like micro that was, like this bug does this thing, and how different plants interacted, and how they interacted with the sun, and what they needed in terms of watering conditions. And it was like, that was a beautiful lived hands-on experience of what actual biodiversity does and how beautiful and rich it becomes, and the interconnectedness but differences. And that's what we're supposed to do as a human collective,
Yeah.
right? You having an autistic brain and me having an ADHD brain brings a different skill set to the table. And so
Yeah.
I'd love for you to speak to that, because I know part of your work is you have helped neurodivergent, especially like entrepreneurs, assistants, etc., find clients and kind of work with their gifts. I'm curious if you could speak to some of the gifts that you've witnessed people having because of their neurodiverse status.
Oh, yes. Where you and kind of bouncing back, right? Where you have the superpower, you have the kryptonite.
Yeah.
And and we love the superpower, right? When we are in that ADHD, autism, whatever it is, right? When we are on that 18-hour project kick and we are hyper fixated, or we are in the zone, or we're in flow state, or whatever it is, right? Those are fun. Those are fantastic. We love them. And as leaders, those are enjoyable to do. And as team members, we really like it when people do that, right? It's like when our team member digs in and they are just like on one. Um, those kinds of things are nice. But then what happens on Tuesday morning when they can't get out of bed? What happens when something comes down and they have to retreat? What happens when a conversation is triggering? It's like you don't get to love the superpower unless you have a plan and a provision for what happens when it doesn't work out.
Mm.
Um, so those are the kinds of systems that I like to build for leaders, is acknowledging that you're going to have those ups and downs. And when you are focused on something, there's going to be those periods where you can't be, right? Where you've got the decision paralysis, or you have uh, uh, just burnout, or you have these neurological things, and we tend to get in our heads with that inner critic. We're like, oh, there's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with me. I'm such a loser. I'm
Mm-hmm.
such a failure. This creates that negative spiral. Oh, down, down, down we go. That's not helpful either. So if you can reframe that and say, okay, yep, I am not doing well today because this and this and this happened. So I need to give myself the space to say, This is what I need. And if you're a leader, doing that for yourself sets a good example for the team. Supporting your team when they need to do that is okay. And doing so in a way that is equitable, that doesn't leave one party feeling ignored or the other party feeling favored. I have a little story that goes along with that. What do cookies, gyms, and elevators have in common?
Many people touch them.
That is true. Oh, the autistic brain, like associations, all of these things. So if you are at a cookie bar and you are looking at 36 different kinds of cookies on a bar, and you're just like, oh my gosh, there are so many different kinds of cookies here, is your first thought, oh, everybody likes sugar cookies? That's ridiculous. Why do we need so many different kinds of cookies? That's insane. And the person next to you is like, well, I have a peanut allergy. And they're like, oh, well, guess what? There's 36 different kinds of cookies here. 35 of them don't have peanuts in them. Okay, so you're awesome. Like, we all get to break off, a quarter of the cookie and take one of each, if that's what you want to do. We're not mad that there's multiple different kinds of cookies there. If you go to a gym and you're looking at the lineup of weights, is your first thought, oh, everybody can only lift 30 to 50 pounds. Why on earth do we need 5-pound weights? Why on earth do we need 200-pound? That's ridiculous. This gym is awful. I'm never going to come here again. No, we look at it and we're like, wow, this gym is really well equipped. We got all of the stuff here. I can do this and I can do that. And maybe I can't lift 500 pounds now, but maybe I'll be able to someday. Or maybe I'm injured and I can't lift my usual 35. Maybe I can only lift 5. But that's okay because it's there. And I'm like, oh, this is a great gym. They have a lot of selection here. Elevators. If you go into a high-rise building and that elevator has a sign that says disabled people only, you might be a little cranky about that. I feel like, I don't feel like climbing 70 floors today. But the elevator is available for all.
Right.
Whether you have a cane or you're aged, or you are perfectly able to walk 70 floors, but you just really don't feel like it, or 2 floors, you just really don't feel like it. But it's not judgmental, right? When everybody gets in the elevator, the person just like that, nobody gets into that elevator and judges. It's like, no, we created this amazing thing. We pioneered this incredible piece of machinery so that everybody has a better life. That is the kind of world that we need to create. We're not limited to one type of weight, one kind of cookie, and accommodation that is only for one kind of person. It's everybody. It's all of us. Yep. So that's my rant on that.
No, I love it. I there were so many good things you said in there, especially like I loved the phrase, we need a plan and a provision. That's for all people. Everybody needs to know what their patterns are, what their their high energy and their low energy days look like, and what they need in order to be able to do their best, right? Everybody's version of their best. And it takes me back, just all of that, like the elevator especially brought up universal design for learning, UDL, which back when I was a public school teacher, I had to take a whole course on, which thank goodness that I got to take that. Very important. That might not be taught anymore. Who knows? A person with a wheelchair can go up the ramp. Like, everybody can use it. Yay, everybody benefits. It doesn't take away anything that is there to help the person with the most challenge to reach their destination.
Yeah.
And that is, when I think about corporate is so built for neurotypical people, which what is that? Neurotypical has almost become synonymous with able to function in absolutely unrelenting conditions without any desire or self-actualization. Like that, right?
It's a curve. It's a curve, right? And like nobody's at the exact same spot on the curve, but it's still the majority of the curve. Yeah.
And I remember having this download one day that the reason able-bodied people, just to use able-bodied for an example, able-bodied people can become disabled-bodied people by pushing themselves too far into conditions that are unsupportive. And so we just need better conditions for everyone. And we start by looking at the most impacted and lift them up, right? So that everybody can benefit. So I'm curious, like, what are some of the things for like a neurodivergent leader, for example, tools, systems, ideas, collaboration methods that end up benefiting everybody because they show up with this
So,
diverse perspective?
so many, so many. Um, this is in the work that we've done, which is I've primarily been involved in operations and administrative, like just executive support and entrepreneur stuff, small businesses. And over the oh my gosh, 30 years that I've been doing this, um, like, there's so many leaders. Um, there are certain tendencies that repeat. And one of those is the inner critic, a lot of decision paralysis, a lot of attention shifting here and there and everywhere. I'm doing this thing, I'm doing that thing. And I fall into this classification of complicated, difficult humans. And I have a quote that I like. I use the cornerstone quotes to kind of hold up my world and make sense of the things. And when you build for the minority, you make it better for the majority. If you build for the majority, you alienate the minority. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, if you know that you are prone to switching things, if you know that you are prone to hyper focus, if you know that you are prone to mood swings or introverted behavior or burnout or all of these different things that go along that, let's take dyslexia, right? It's like, okay, reading, and there's two forms. One where words are difficult to write, and then the other is words are difficult to read. And I can't remember.
Dysgraphia,
yeah,
is the writing.
Dysgraphia and dyslexia, like the difference between those two. That you might think, okay, well, so this person has a hard time writing these words, or this person has a hard time reading these words. Well, the visual aspect of that is stronger. So if that person is allowed to flourish in imagery, what kind of things would they create that is image-based, right? These are individuals that could be perfect for marketing. These are individuals who could be perfect for teaching elementary education, for conveying complex subjects within imagery that don't require complex words. But we don't really think about that. And then if I'm running a team of project developers or project managers, if I knew in the company who the ADHD people were, and I wanted to have a brainstorming session, that would be so much fun, right? It's like, okay, I need my 5 craziest, wildest individuals in this company. Like, let's solve this problem. Let's go out. Let's make this happen. We don't necessarily want the autistic individuals in that group. We don't necessarily want this particular person who is, hyper fixated on details in this group. We want somebody who is up here, going to be working in the clouds and just like, okay, but what if? And then once you've got the what ifs, now you dig in. You're like, okay, here's what we've assembled. Now let's give it to somebody else who can dig in and make sure this is realistic. Mm-hmm. So you've got this opportunity to allow the diversity to strengthen the whole. You don't necessarily need to say, right, it's the difference between equal and equitable, which for me is within autism, the subtle definitions of words are really important because they have such a different meaning. And equal would be a project development room that has one of everybody. That's not what you need. You want equitable. You want a project development room that is full of individuals who can do product development. But it doesn't mean that you don't want anybody else. It means that their job is something else. What is the other thing? In schools, right? When we're teaching young children, what kinds of things would be possible if we allowed those children to create and develop and imagine whatever it is that they want to imagine? Can't even imagine it.
That's what I tried to do in my classroom as much as I could.
Right. And we got
until the system shoved me out because I was, giving too much choice.
And that those are the things, right? But somebody has to fund the elevator.
Yeah.
Somebody has no one company is going to be like, oh, let's spend millions and millions of dollars creating this device that allows us to go up to the 70th floor. That probably wasn't even the intention. Maybe because, and I don't know the history of it, but somebody does. Maybe because the elevator was created, we are able to build taller buildings. Where we're like, oh, well, what if?
Yeah. Right? Innovation does not come out of sameness.
No. Oh, it doesn't. There's so much. Like, what if? What if we put, let's go into the stereotype of the autistic person who loves trains.
Well, I mean, I guess all stereotypes, we know somebody that fits the stereotype. So,
yeah. I mean, listen, it's there.
I know someone,
actually. So, let's call it out. It exists.
Go with it.
So, if we had all of the autistic individuals who love trains, and we're like, okay, we need 30 of you to be in this government room program to create a rail system for the US.
The best rail system ever.
It would be the greatest thing that existed in the entire, it would be the envy of the world. I'm like, oh, this would be so cool. Doctors, medical stuff, inventions, all of the what ifs that exist. And then circling back, because you were like, okay, well, what about leaders, right? You have all of these things that we can do, the things that we love to do. And if we are building companies around these concepts, because ultimately every entrepreneur has built a company because they couldn't find what they wanted. They're like, oh, this doesn't exist. I don't know. I guess I have to make it. But yet, neurodiversity does make it harder. It's harder to stay financially solvent. It's harder to hire. It's harder to retain. It's harder to communicate. We don't have the elevators. We don't have the ramps. We don't have that stuff that makes it easier to run business. So the odds of success are kind of stacked against. And a lot of businesses fail. Even though they have something genuinely important for the world. Yep. Something that needs to get out of the Google Drive. Something that needs to get out of the garage. Something that needs to reach the people that it needs to reach. And for every person who internalizes decision paralysis, depression, anxiety, PTSD, CPTSD, dyslexia, introversion, all of these different, if you internalize that and you allow that to hold you back, and not necessarily allow it to hold you back, you just don't have the tools. You don't have the elevator. That's the tragedy. Mm-hmm. If we have a nonverbal autistic 5-year-old, what can we create that allows that person to talk? Maybe speech isn't what they need. Stephen Hawking, look at the things that he did. And if we'd have just cast that off and not given him a voice. So.
Yeah. It's absolutely wild to think of how many people never have that chance to share their voice in their own unique way because of conformity culture, because of not creating equity, right? I was just thinking, when you erase DEI and stuff, it makes it look like everybody's going to be equal. But it's only equal if you still fit inside certain parameters, because otherwise you can't access what's supposed to be there anyway. So equitable is the nuance, the intersectionality, the individuality, the beautiful diversity that each individual needs. And I think all the time about what if people had the accommodations that they needed to express themselves? What if they had somebody willing to get curious about their perspective and how they process and understand the world? Are there other things, because you've spoken to the challenges, right? The challenge of communication, for example, often being one that neurodivergent individuals encounter, right? Like for me, ADHD, I have to be very aware and stay very present so that I don't disrupt people from talking so they can finish their thought, because my brain's going, okay, I know
you can interrupt me because I monologue. So you can interrupt.
That's totally fine. But that's like something we have to think about. And when we can communicate about it, like people like you and I do and can, the discomfort begins to dissipate, because you find your people that can go, oh yeah, of course. Yeah. If I need to, I'll butt in. Absolutely. But to be able to talk about it. And so many people are afraid to talk about it. They're afraid to say that they need something. And I'm curious what you would say to those, whether they're leaders or because everybody's a leader of their own life, right? And everybody's capable of leading something in their own way. So I like to say we're all leaders, but especially leaders who are leading others in a company, in a community. What can they do to promote people stepping into their truth?
Some of the systems that we've created within my company, Sapphire, is structures that allow for communication when communication is a challenge. And inadvertently, I created these things not realizing, right, that the difficulties that I have with communication as a result of autism, right? I never made those connections. I was just building structures so that I would have a way to engage. And once I realized what I was building, that allowed me to kind of lean into it and take it to the next step and kind of polish it and fine tune it. So some of those aspects of communication is, in leadership positions, delegation is nearly impossible because we have so many things happening in our heads. It's like, virtual assistants. And that person, in all of their well-meaning desire to help, says, Safrianna, what can I help you with today? You're going to be like, I can't even keep my own mind organized enough to tell you what kind of help I need. This is so much work. This is so hard. I don't know. I don't know. Or the alternative, if you have well-structured support and a roadmap and systems, some of the stuff that we've built, that person is going to say instead, Safrianna, according to the roadmap that we've built, this and this and this are the priorities. So I'm going to work on these. Do you want to change any of that right now? Like, no, that sounds good. Go for it.
I'm halfway there.
Yeah, it's like, you hear me, you understand me. Oh, but yet building that roadmap, right? In order for that person to do that, that requires an interface.
Mm-hmm.
And pulling that information out of the leader's mind is one of those things that we like to do. Well, how do you pull that out? How do you identify what that roadmap is? How do you identify what those structures are? Oh, there's so many different directions I can go, and I'm like, One of the systems is daily intentions. And this service, every day at a completely customizable time, you tell us when, we will message you. What are your intentions for today? Tell us audio, text, or whatever method of communication you need, what your intentions are. At the end of the day, we circle back. How'd it go? What'd you get done? What did you not get to? What did you deprioritize? That information goes on to a personalized dashboard. And it's rated by category: self-care, internal meetings, external meetings, sales. You tell us what you need. Everything is completely customizable for that person. At the end of the week, you get to look back and say, oh my gosh, I got 70% of the things done that I wanted to get done. Because in neurodivergency, we might be like, oh, I didn't get anything done this week that I wanted to do.
Every day. Yeah,
right? Like, and then spiral down. And then you're just like, oh my God, all right, I'm working on Sunday. I'm working on Saturday. Burnout. Maybe the next week is 72%. The next week is 75%. You're not going to feel that mentally, but if you can see it, it says, oh, I am getting stuff done. Well, then at the end of the month, something magical happens, because on this dashboard, you get to see what you are deprioritizing. And if 17 out of the 30 days that month, you set out to drink more water each day, but you didn't, you now get to ask, well, why? What's happening that I didn't do that? I wouldn't see that before, but now I'm seeing that. And then you build the system. If you have executive support, if you have a team, if you have, right, we do like text reminders and various things. Well, you need to answer this, but you don't know where to build until you can see it. You can't necessarily communicate, wow, I feel like trash because I'm not drinking enough water. But when you get to see, oh, I started out the day with an intention, I finished the day. I didn't do what nobody's telling you what to do. So for those who struggle with the PDA, right? You're telling yourself what to do. It was like, no, I wanted to do this. So why didn't I? So you get to see that. And then another one is fire suppression, where you let us know periodically throughout the day the things that derail you. What got in the way? What made you be like, all right, what sent you over here when you wanted to be over here? And you just let us know, and we can check in at the end of the day, or you can do it periodically throughout the day. Same thing goes onto a dashboard. So you get to see the categories of the things that are derailing you. At the end of the month, you now have some data. Oh, wait, all of my fires are related to this thing over here in client success. Oh, well, let's fix that. Yeah, let's fix it. And you get to see these things. So like systems, just little systems. And if you're doing, say, like daily intentions for your team, which is something that we do internally, I don't have to micromanage. If I want to know what's happening on the team, I just go look at the intentions. It's on a Slack channel. We get to jump in, and I'm like, oh, shoot, I wonder, is somebody doing that, thing over? Oh, well, let me go look. Oh, yeah, it's on their daily intentions. Oh, cool. Okay. Not a task list. It's just your intentions for the day. Oh, well, I know that person is having a difficult time with such and such situation. Are they doing enough for self-care? Hey, I didn't see anything for self-care today on your daily intentions. Are you doing okay? It's just these tiny little things. And it's like, these aren't hard. This isn't favoritism. This isn't expensive. It's just conscientious adjustments to the way that you structure your day, the way that you think about your day, to allow yourself that freedom to work within your neurodiversity, to work within your kryptonite. Say, you know what? Wow, I did all of these things yesterday. Today I feel like trash.
My problem. Yeah.
So it's me monologuing again.
No, it's like literally or figuratively opening the channel for communication.
Yes.
You have a literal channel for communication, but by doing that, you're continuing to create that culture that says it's okay to express what's really going on with you and what your intentions or desires are, so that you can be supported in that, versus like one directional communication that's really just, it's not I can't help, again, I'm spicy about everything happening right now. And one of the things that happened with Doge was this email where it's like, by end of day, by end of this time, you need to have sent all of the things you've done this week. That is actually a great idea if it's implemented by and intentions based, if it was by management to create bi-directional communication of how are you able to get what you're intending to do done, what's getting in the way of that, how can we support, right? Like that is, when you talk about these systems, it's clear that the system is built to support, not to control.
Yes.
And that's the huge difference there. Like we don't need to be controlled. We are very creative and capable people. We just need support to do what we can do. How about that?
Yeah. There's one of my rants is on the profitability metrics of embracing neurodiversity. Right? We know that in a garden, biodiversity is necessary. We know that in like even just like the climate of the United States as a whole, right? The diverse landscapes allow for all kinds of different things, right? Like this is necessary. We know the diversity is necessary. And within these concepts is profitability, because we are a capitalist society, so we have to be prepared to speak that language.
Mm-hmm.
And what I see most often in leadership and companies and organization is there's two camps. There's this camp over here that says efficiency, productivity, profitability, all of these things, system, structure, control. And then this side is self-awareness, holistic, self-care, wellness, DEI. And nobody bridges those two. The systems that I've seen, the systems that I've studied, that I'm special interested on, there's no bridge that says we need to bring these two concepts together. And in this side, you have proficiency, and in this side, you have positivity. Well, you can't have positivity without proficiency and run a successful company. On this side, you can't have proficiency without positivity and run a successful company. You want both of those things. You have to have both.
Mm-hmm.
And within another one of the systems that we created called the Clarity Matrix, if you are working in your brilliance, you are working within proficiency and positivity. You have both of these things together. And in order to run a profitable, successful team, you want to know that the majority of your team is working within brilliance. Because if the alternative is what we call, there's 4 quadrants to the Clarity Matrix. You have brilliance, which is proficiency and positivity. You have shiny objects, for obvious reasons, which is practicing and positivity. I'm not proficient yet, but I'm practicing, but I sure do like it. I'm enjoying this. Then you have monotone, which is proficiency and negativity, proficiency and boredom. And then you have shattered, which is practicing and negativity, or practicing and boredom. And if I do an analysis on a team, and there are individuals on that team who are in monotone, in proficiency and negativity, those individuals are looking for other jobs. Mm. They are this close to turnover if they aren't already on their way out. They're 1 foot out the door, or burnout, one of the two. And if you're not asking that question, yes, that person is proficient, but if they are in a negative headspace, that's not a profitable situation for the company. Mm-hmm. It's not. But unless you're asking that question, so then you have turnover. And that's crazy expensive for a company.
Yeah.
So, but if you rephrase, you're like, okay, wait, you're proficient in this, but it's leaving you in a negative headspace. We want to maybe push you into shiny objects, practicing positivity. What do you want to learn that can help shift your mindset to make this more engaging, to make this more interesting? Moving people around as a leader, as a manager, understanding where your team is working allows you to drive a stronger team with stronger results, more development, more creativity, all of these different things that are involved in creating companies that last. I just don't know why people don't do this.
Because they want to cut corners, they don't want to communicate, they don't want to be uncomfortable, and so they play by the same old rules that already pre-exist and push people away over time. That's
It's time to do something different, damn it.
We really, we've got to make a change. It's so obvious. And again, I love what you said earlier about when you are building for that minority, that you're building for the majority, but that it doesn't, you can't flip it the other way. Because that's where we're at right now. We're in being built for the vocal minority in some cases, but also the majority in power. And when they're running the bus and they don't want to see people as unique individuals, we have to keep fighting. We have not won this yet. But the more neurospicy leaders that speak up, the more that we own these unique aspects of ourselves, the more that I think we're going to see the change. I think that the most important thing we can do is step into our inner leadership, show up with who we really are, and let that ripple effect out.
And I think the fear and using fear and trauma by embracing that, because there's also, right, that's part of the kryptonite. And when you shove that away, it definitely impacts your ability to lead. It's like, yes, as a leader, you want to lead with strength. You don't want to be that kind of weakness doesn't work in a capitalist boardroom. But at the same time, having those difficult conversations, even if it's just on an internal basis, it validates what other people are experiencing, right? It's like, yes, this is part of being human. We have trauma. We have things that are wrapped in fear. And there's a word that I heard, I don't know, a while ago to kind of capture what's happening right now in the administration. Extinction burst, which is that last grab of burst before it goes extinct. It's like that last breath of holding on to this yuck because of the fear of what happens if it's not there.
Yep.
And getting rid of diversity, getting rid of equity, getting rid of inclusion, getting rid of women, getting rid of minorities and immigrants, and like all of this, wanting to go back to something that we know was just not this was not a good period in our history. And we know this. But yet the fear is preventing that. We have to push through. It's like this wall, and it's an extinction burst. It's that last dying breath of the yuck before we push through. And it's like, okay, if that's what we're dealing with, fine. I'll watch it die.
Right there with you. Yeah, in psychology, there is a term called extinction, where you are witnessing, like you're trying to hold space for a bad behavior and a child to die off, or an animal, or even an adult human being, because adult human beings get entrenched in bad patterns a lot. But extinction, like in that model they teach, like it gets worse before it gets better, because it's escalating to see if they can really get away with it. And yeah, no, they can't, not long term anyway. Eventually people start waking up and fighting back, but we're already there. We're already in this doesn't make sense. And that's one of the gifts that I want to leave people with today about neurodivergent individuals, especially like autistic individuals, that really own that, like, these rules don't make sense. I'm very confused. Having people that can point that out is necessary for society to say this doesn't, is this supposed to make sense? Right? Just like the utter confusion that they bring to the table of, are you sure? And if we could accept that, right? If we could, as a society, really lean into that and go, oh, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Like, let's look at this. Let's talk about it. Let's communicate about it. We live in a very different world. And so we're going to keep fighting for all of these voices to have a spot at the table, to be in leadership roles, to bring their gifts to the table, because everybody has that gift in kryptonite, not just the neurospicy people. They just the presentations look different, right? Different little grab bags of how we show up and how we respond to the world. But the more that we can get curious about one another, ask questions, lead from a place of knowing other people aren't exactly like us, I think we'd be in a much better.
Authenticity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Authenticity.
That's our mission here. Luna in my brand actually stands for loving, unashamed, and nurturing authenticity. That's the acronym. So we are all about that here. But Eryn, thank you so much for having this conversation with me today, and just like so many gems of wisdom in here. I think so many relatable things for people who may not identify as neurodivergent, but might not understand why the heck things are the way that they are. I hope that we
Know people, children, our children, neighbors' children. It's like it starts with that.
Yes. Yes. So thank you again for sharing your insights, for all that you do in the leadership world to make this world a more equitable place. Is there anything else that you'd like to share today? Any places that you like people to connect with you?
I love these kinds of conversations. So, if folks are trying to figure out how to have these conversations, either as leaders or as team members or colleagues, yes, like let's talk about that. Let's build systems that help to inspire and create and allow amazing things to be created, because that's what we're capable of. Like music and art and philosophy and the things that we have the ability to create. It's exquisite. It's exquisite, and it's made possible through neurodiversity, through leadership, through being a little bit quirky and asking those hard questions, right? It's like, just let that be. And we don't need uniformity. We don't need conformity.
Yes, we need authenticity.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And in so much agreement with you.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Eryn. And if you want to connect with Eryn, look her up. Her information will be in the places
I'm on
for the
everything.
information. So
all of the things. I'm not hard to find. I'm very loud.
Likewise. So if you are like us and want to fight for a better world, you know where to connect with us. We are here for you. We see you. We are cheering you on. And we are just trying to uplift the collective one moment at a time, one thoughtful question at a time, one moment of curiosity at a time. So until next time, I'm Safrianna Luna. This has been another episode of The Shadow Side. Thank you, Eryn. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Bye for now.